Hello everybody and welcome to Parks Bros. It's Drew here, and I stopped in at Knott's Berry Farm on Super Bowl Sunday to check out everything new for this year, 2026. First off, I want to state that Peanut Celebration is currently ongoing, so visiting on a weekend, we got tons of entertainment and food options, which were phenomenal, at least the little bits that I got to experience, and we'll talk about more later on. But it was early in the morning, so I was feeling pretty hungry. I went straight back to the bakery and picked myself up an apple cider whoopie pie, which was really good for $6.99. Will say super sugary, to be honest. Like, there was a little bit too much icing, but the apple and the apple cider flavors were definitely present, and it was super fluffy and just really tasty all around. But let's talk about one of the big announcements for this year that's kind of gone under the radar thus far, and that's MonteZOOma, the Forbidden Fortress. That's right, this coaster that was originally announced 4 years ago now has officially started work again, which is just looking awesome. The walls have expanded, there's new plant life out in front of where the entrance is, and you can actively see some work in the station, at least from that side, which is really great to see. Now, there's not been a very public announcement that this ride is officially opening this year. However, under the new Gold Pass that has come out for the Six Flags brand, it does state that this ride is new for 2026, which is super exciting if that is going to be the truth. Now, I will say there have been multiple announcements thus far in the past couple of years that have said the same thing, and it just didn't end up working out. So I'm curious to see if this is actually true. But I will give them credit. This is the most work we've seen on this coaster in years now, as that backtrack is officially connected to the station track, which is amazing to see, as well as tons of concrete work has started up, even though they haven't filled all the spots yet. Coming around the side to look in the other side of the station, as well as down the launch track, you can see that even more so. It's kind of insane to see how much rebar is being used, as well as where concrete is going to be. It's practically going to be filling in everything underneath the launch track. So it's getting me thinking, what are they doing with this to make that the case? Is that going to reinforce the launch track going forward? Are they going to replace some of these supports, or maybe reinforce some of these supports going forward? Or are we going to see some sort of tunnel structure go around the track? Which that would be really cool if they were able to add that, especially with some lights, sound, and theming elements all around. That would be just incredible. Looking around more and trying to dig underneath what's going on, you can see there's still some markers, plenty of what seem to be the top of supports, if that makes any sense, realistically, where the support would actually connect down into the footing, just kind of sitting off to the side waiting for that concrete, which is interesting to note because that could help support both a tunnel structure or, of course, more supports for the ride structure itself. And we are still missing, unfortunately, one piece of track, which is just a little upsetting, to be honest, but at the same time, it feels like they're waiting to put that in for the very end, when they make sure that everything is lined up perfectly and good to go. Speaking of lone track pieces, I will let you know that that main track piece just beyond the loop in the far distance is still silver, so it has not gotten painted quite yet. But we're looking good. Progress is happening, which is super exciting considering we can't really say that often with this project. I do worry though that we're going to have another couple of months of stoppage, because that's been the regular with this thing. We get a week, maybe two, of non-stop construction, and then nothing for 3, 4, 5, maybe even 6 months at times. I will say at the current rate, if they keep it up, we probably wouldn't see this opening till later in the year, maybe even towards fall. But I can definitely hope that in the next 3, maybe 4 months, we see some ramped up construction that ends up opening this thing for summer. I think that would be brilliant to have to finally finish off the new Fiesta Village after that got completely reworked a couple years ago. Moving on from that project, I do want to talk a little bit more about Peanut Celebration, because that's a big event going on right now, especially it being the first event of the year. Now, I didn't get to see the main show, unfortunately, as I was only at the park for about 20 minutes when I was there for Super Bowl Sunday or Charlie Brown Day, but I was able to see some of the new merch offerings that they have at the front of Camp Snoopy, which it was really nice to see the train going by overhead again. And yes, it was awesome to see all of those decorations for Peanut Celebration out and about in Camp Snoopy, but man, I was really just kind of sad looking at where the stage was supposed to be for this revamp from a couple years ago. Maybe they'll build it eventually. But something that really surprised me, especially after the past couple of months and cutting entertainment around the park, was seemingly the abundance of it, as there was even a trolley going around the Charleston Circle with a full dance troupe and plenty of Peanuts characters. And that's without mentioning that they did multiple shows every time they came out, which was incredible, especially if you like repeat viewings in different areas and being immersed by these cool musical numbers and ideas. Genuinely super exciting to see in person. Giant pieces of entertainment when, over the last year with the merger, that being cut more and more so at Knott's. It felt closer to the right direction of which this park should go. Outside of the amazing dance troupe, as well as seeing all of the characters, there was also a cycling piano player back in rotation, and of course, the stables were open for Pigpen, where you could pet goats. Going back to the boardwalk real quick, I want to talk about Johnny Rockets, which officially was announced just a couple of weeks ago to be closing on April 15th permanently, making way for Crafty's Kitchen for chicken and fries. That's right, Crafty from Knott's Berry Tales Return to the Fair is getting his own restaurant, and it will be taking over the location of Johnny Rockets. This is phenomenal news in my mind. I've always kind of hated the idea of Johnny Rockets sitting right there. It just felt really out of place in very early 2000s Six Flags or Cedar Fair to me, but now they're expanding the IP of Berry Tales across the back of the park, and I'm really excited to see that, especially if they add more meet and greets with those characters because of that. Now, it wasn't stated exactly when this will reopen, but it will have the same recipe of chicken tenders as Chicken Dinner Restaurant outside of the park, which I think is pretty dang great if you ask me. Being able to bring that famous recipe inside the park more is a win in my book. I will say I hope they keep the shakes because that was always the best part of Johnny Rockets, so we can keep our fingers crossed for that. But I'm super excited to see all of these changes thus far for this year. Don't forget, there are plenty of other events going on through the rest of the year with the Boysenberry Festival coming up next. And then after that, as far as I know right now, we've still got Ghost Town Alive and Summer Nights, and then eventually Spooky and Scary Farm, and of course, Merry Farm to end the year. I will say, even though I was only there for 20 minutes, it was great to get back into the park for this new year. And I do think if the new leadership has any influence on these decisions being made right now, I'm excited for the future of Six Flags, at least a little bit more. But let me know, what do you think of all the changes for 2026 at Knott's Berry Farm? And if there's anything I missed, let me know down in the comments. I would really appreciate that. But thank you all so much for watching, and of course, until next time, we'll see you on the next ride.